I'm guessing that now everything should be good. Alright. Everything should be good now. I made a little bit of a change to some things. I don't have... Yep, there's Seribot. Cool. Let's get into the mobile dashboard. A good thing to have. The commands is all pointless now. So we could do... yeah, so today, what are we doing? 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 Alright. So the big thing is that I would like to go over state machines. Because they're I'm helping someone with state machines, so I want to so I would like to get into exactly how that should work out, right? Namely, I want to basically just yeah, so I want to effectively just refresh myself on how state machines work, and hopefully everything will look a lot better. Since I have like a full screen, I don't have chat taking up 10 metric tons of my state. It does mean that I don't have the same kind of visibility on chat, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I can't do specific windows because my shit is too old and OBS doesn't like Wayland. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I also noticed that a lot of Linux users don't have window capture. They just have screen capture. So I know that there's ways around it, but a lot of that is like Vulkan capture, a lot of Vulkan specific stuff that I don't have access to because I don't have Vulkan. So there's that. But so what are we going here? What are we doing here? What are we doing? Hey ho, where do you want to go? Right. So one of the things that we can do is let's just delete all that, right? Because we're gonna have the function love dot update dt, right? And then we can have function love dot draw. And then in here, what we can do is and then in here, what we can do is we can have a little bit of something, right? I want to have a little bit of something. I want to have basically what I want is to have a state machine, but I'm also not very familiar with them. So I'm going to go into OpenCode. Oh, as much as I don't want to, I'm going to need to have some searches, so because I really only have the, like, I have the documentation for Lua, but it's fucking dog shit, right? So when table is called like a function, when a table is called like a function, less than or equal, add, subtract, multiply, divide. Okay. Return self sound. Set metatable index equals self. Oh. Interesting. Wait, who's that? I don't remember them. Well. Sorry, my guy. You don't get to. I also don't have I still need to do the sound stuff. But I'm a terrible human being, so alright. So what is yeah, so the way that Lua does it is that it's not like class. It's prototypes. It uses delegation, it delegates things off to other classes, off to other objects. Right? Everything is an object in Lua, just like in JavaScript. So the underscore index meta method here, self equals dog. My dog dot species. Lua first checks my dog itself. Not found. It calls the here self equals dog. If not in dog, it checks dog name, which points to animal. The chain continues up and up the prototype chain. So colon is object specific. Means our instance methods, right? So let's take a look at the kind of thing that we're doing. So here, local metatable. Set metatable point empty. Okay, so you want to so the metatable. Okay. So metatable is are things like the stuff that we see here. We have the double underscore stuff is stuff that deals with things directly. Okay. So we have that stuff. So we have the base class, and we want to have a function animal speak return self sound, right? And then new. Yeah, this is completely immutable. That's great. I have to look up runtime index traversal compile time static dispatch.
Wideband audio. Wideband audio.
I mean, does the love just have like a class thing or something? Like, that's something that exists? I don't know. So for parent in I pairs, parents do if parent key, then return parent key end. Okay, so you can stack on a bunch of properties and stuff onto the objects as well. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you, I'm also fucking exhausted today too, just like I was yesterday. So do keep that in mind. But like a big thing that I want to do, right, is we have the idea of right, we have a state machine. God fuck it. Alright, we have a state machine. And we want to have, well, I could do two things here. I can declare state, declare state machine, declare state. Because you can't access things before they're declared. And there's no hoisting. Right? So, you know, we have this here. There we go. Cool. There we go. Set it to key delegates to animal. We don't want that. Right? What we actually want is delegates to state. Right? So we have the new. Alright. So the way state machine is going to work. I mean, I also want? Well, I mean, there's no types in there's no types in mod, right? I can't do type assertion. Right. Because it's a dynamically typed language. It's not statically typed or anything like that. So. And it also depends on what kind of thing that we want, right? Because we could do, think about what the what this even does, right? So how do state machines work, right? For one, we need to have a current. Current state. Then we need to have what else is there? We need to have a current state. We need to have a function. Actually, we need to have a transition _2 equals function. Next. Alright. I mean, really, what you do is you do, we do current exit, current equals next, current enter. Right. That's how that works. That's the transition to function. We have what the hell? Like, there's. I could have sworn there's like, what? Okay. I see. So. I could do state machine. Well, I mean, function, state, machine, what? Well, because I can call upon state machine. But if I wanted to have multiple state machines, then I can have multiple things. But if state machine is global, then it doesn't really matter, right? So what I'm saying is I feel like I am overthinking this quite a bit. Right? So if I do, can I do even? Yeah, right, yeah. So if it's within the table, then you have to name it first. And it is a name equals a thing, right? It's just that functions are first class citizens. Right? Functions are objects. Which is something I really like. I really like that. So well, I mean, because this is a static function. Alright, if I'm declaring it here, it's a static function. If I'm accessing it with a dot, then it's a static function. I might not necessarily want that. Right? Because there's a lot of things, right? For instance, like let's do this the proper way. Okay, let's do this. Let's not be lazy. Region, state, stuff, and then here I can do an end region, right? And then here I can do hash region state machine and region right. So what we do is we have state machine equals that, right? And then we can have all the other stuff in here, right? And then what we could do is literally just have this whole thing, right? You want that, alright, paste that there, and then have machine here, right? Right? That just makes it super easy. Right. Now you can also have you can do a lot of other really cool stuff as well. Like you could have a state list, a list of states, right? But we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna have that. It's kind of pointless because then you can have like states dot, or states index it, or states dot something, states dot this, states dot that. Right, and then that'll have effectively like a declaration of all the states that are possible. You can have a states object, and then you have your master state machine, and then, or you could have the state machine itself deal with the states that it has access to. Right? You can do that. And that might be the like proper way of doing things, because like the state machine, you have like this big huge system, right? But the vast majority of the time you want to have basically just like a list of states and stuff. It's a little bit like I don't know about like references like yeah, there's, I don't know. So, yeah, A references B, B references A. Yeah, global caches need to manually break them. Yeah. So, is it passed by, local parent equals function parent new child local object. But name equals parent child equals child. If child, then parent child equals object and return object. Alright. So Lua does factory functions, right? You kind of build everything up with factors. So you don't necessarily need to do meta table inheritance and stuff like that. I'm probably doing things a bit improper, right? Namely, so I have, we declare what this stuff does, right? We have like what it has. Right, because you need to have everything be like between these parts, right? And like that's something. So state is going to have states have edges, meaning that they have conditions for things to happen. So if I wanted to have, say, a manual traversal of a state. Most state machines are autonomous agents, right? They're used for algorithmic behavior. AKA AI, right? Or what we used to call AI before, you know, LLMs and shit, large language models. For ChatGPT. In the industry, what we called AI, right? Or CPU, NPC, etc. Right? Algorithmic behavior. So, what we want to do is in here. See the function new. I think needs to be last, right? I think that needs to be the last in the set. Otherwise, bad things happen. Whoops. Hi. Everything's good. Cool. I don't know why it's showing up on the main screen and not on the other screen, but oh well. It is what it is. So... Okay. Okay. So... I mean, I was on a roll last night, but whatever. Oh, I need my sugar. Gotta have my diabetes. So the main thing that state has, right, is that state will have a in the state, right? Like you have, okay, is the only for is the state operator is the colon operator only for functions, methods, or is it also used my dog name? Right, okay, fucking whatever. I don't think it is. Because I think it is just used, like, I don't think it's, self equals my dog, right? It's specifically for method calls. If it's not a function. If you do my dog name without parentheses. So you could you create properties in there? And having hidden getter setter like in C#. That's something you can do, man. Holy shit! I fucking love Lua. So index is self key. If key equals full name, then return self first name, self last name. If key equals int. You could also use getter setter tables for more explicit control. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Okay. Cool. So it's still a dot. Yeah, it would still be a dot. Okay. So it's not implemented in the way that I was expecting. But that's still a thing that you can do. That's good to know. You can also have cyclic references, and those are fine. It's just not they're just not cleaned up by the garbage collector. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of garbage collection languages. GC languages are kind of a pain in the ass. They're quite literally the worst for games. Because in games you want to have reliable and static. It is more important to have a consistent load than it is to have a fast load. Right? So garbage collection in the context of a video game is generally pretty bad. So you want to front load as much work as you possibly can, and and you want concurrent workloads to be consistent. Right, that is the goal with games. So you basically boot up the game, it loads in all the information that it needs right at the beginning, so you just sit there and wait for the loading screen gets done, and you just play your game, right? And you don't have to worry about any more loading screens, asterisk, between levels or whatnot. The times in which you need to load and deload information and stuff becomes much smaller, and a lot of things are like cached in things. That way, when you're actually running, you don't have intermittent, you don't have intermittent hiccups and, shit like that, right? So, that's pretty much how you deal with stuff, right? Now, let's see. Special keys that start with double underscore. So there is a method. Cool. So what is all this actually boiling down to? So the state needs to have goddamn. So okay, so state dot edges is equal to that. Edges. And an edge is going to be, right, that's just going to be a collection of shit. So we have edges. We need to have edges. We need to have and the conditions are right. The way that an edge works is that you have the way that a condition works is that you have a condition is equal to a function right. So edges are going to be kind of weird, right? Because it might be prudent because you either want to send in the whole state machine or the current state. Right. But also, in most cases, there's going to be, is the way that projects are fundamentally managed and handled is that there is some level of global understanding that everything has visibility of, right? You have your application context, and you can kind of peek into that context, right? Either with a singleton or just global variables, things like that. So having having those kinds of things, you don't necessarily need to explicitly pass stuff in, right? Because you can kind of look at the top of the tree and then traverse down into whatever you need. You know, because then in here, you know, you'd have like app dot, you know, scene dot, you know, state machine, state match dot current, right? You know, you have your state machine, you know, whatever, right? You'd have that. So, right. Oh. So you have that. And then you have your condition, and then you have your next. Right. So you have your condition, which returns, you know, returns a bool, and then is a state. Right. And then you can have a bunch of these edges, right? You have like a fat stack of these edges. You have your condition, and you either pass in, you know, you pass in some fucking thing here, right? Whatever, you know, context, CTX, right? You have your CTX here, you know, and then you have your, you know, and then you have your return false, right? You have your things here. Return CTX equals null. Right, I mean, I could do CTX equals nil, I do believe. Yeah. I mean, we could also say CTX. What? You can't do fucking not equal? What? What do you mean? Should be rules should use. Oh, not interesting. That's fucking gross. Yeah. Alright. Return CTX not equal null. And then next. Right. So you have all these things, and it's all Gucci Gucci. Okay. Let's see. So, let's go into okay. So let's make alright. So this is what, you know, this take dot edges is gonna look like, right? So we have state dot edges, and we're gonna have the edges right here. We could do because what we could do is we could have a state you know, like a state make edge, right? And you pass in the condition, and you pass in the next state, right? Condition and state. So each state could have its own kind of like context and stuff, right? Now you do whatever it is that you do with. So what you do is you could say state edge is new. Because I don't necessarily want to have a create. I'd rather have a create edge function, right? I would rather have a create edge function, right? So I could. I don't get it. Whatever. Alright, dot new edge. We have, what is it? Like, how do you add to it? Because I don't think there's like a push or a pop. Alright. How do you append? Because here, we have your condition and then next state. Right. And actually, we have so Yeah, you just do insert. Yeah, and so we just do insert. Well, I mean, or I could just do that. All right. or I could just do that. Alright, or I could do, what is it, self dot edges well, actually, I'll just do insert. Alright, I'll just do insert. Oh, that's a table dot insert. What the fuck? Okay. Table dot insert self dot edges, and then it is doobie jam. Next day. Right. Thank you. Alright. Condition next day. Alright. Self dot edges, condition next day. Alright. And then what this does is, yeah, new edge. So we want this. So there we go. That's better. So a lot of this is kind of a pain in the ass to watch. So just look at it. It is what it is. Ow! Ow, my chest. Oh, this is it. This is how I die. This is where I go. Goodbye, cruel world. Ow. Oh, why so tight? Oh, don't worry. It's just my upper chest. That's fine. I'm not actually having a heart attack on screen. I'm just a millennial. Everything hurts. Everything's tight. Everything sucks. The world sucks, man. Okay, so the state machine is that. Alright. We also need to have current. Alright. And I'm also declaring these as like tables that we know. That is a state. Right. And then this is is an array of edges, right? And that's why we have the state new edge, so that we have these kinds of situations. Right? So the condition being a thing, right? And one of the things that we want to do is during runtime, we want to check all the conditions, and then well, I mean, I guess it just depends on what kind of like context we want, right? So, and that entirely depends on the purpose of your state machine, right? Because I'm in like the total wrong place for any of this. Cool, great, awesome. Well, actually, it doesn't matter because I'm not working on Pong today. So, it's completely pointless. I don't think I've like dropped any frames or anything. What? Nani? Nandu? Or is it that? I don't know. I don't know how to get the stuff back up. Well, I mean, I can just do that. Yeah, I've dropped 0 frames. Interesting. Cool. It's good. I don't like how the fact that it's on the wrong bloody thing, but you know, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Oh, is it because I don't know. I can't be bothered. So, let's see here. So we have state machine new. We have the state machine. We have so okay, so let's see. We have, yeah, we need to have the, all the other stuff too, right? How long have I been going for? An hour? Okay. So, if I wanted to do... Alright, we have the edges. I mean, and the new edges is just... Like, do we even need this, right? Because when we create the whole because when we create each state, we are probably going to, I don't know. That's simple, right? So we have the state machine new. We have current as a state. We need the function machine transition to right next, and then here we do self dot current. I am going to being murdered. So weird. Self dot current. Self dot current do exit. Self dot current equals next. Self dot current and then at the very end we want all that. Alright, so we have exit next enter. That's literally all that transition to does. It handles the exit strategy, switches to the next one, and then enters. Alright, and then in the update, yeah, and then we have a function state machine update current update. Right. And just pass in all that stuff, right? Self.current update. Right. We have all that. So we have the update, we have the transition to, we have the new. That's pretty much all that the state machine does, right? You can have other conditions, like if you want to have, so that whenever you push a button on the keyboard, it changes, it changes state, whatever, yada yada yada. We can go into all that, right? Because a large part of this is that we have the new edge, but the new edge isn't necessary, right? New edge function isn't necessarily a thing that we need. We do need new. But the core thing that we want to maintain is that they have right, because we only need update and transition to, right? Okay, cool. First drop. It's good. Cool. First drop. It's good. It's not too bad. Good. So cool. So we have the exit. We have the enter. Okay. So I might not do the new edge. Right? Because I think that is actually just kind of confusing. Lua is a bit jank. I want to have very strict. It would be a lot easier to maintain things if I was doing all this in C++. But I also don't feel like doing C++ because I don't feel like dealing with like SDL and having all the libraries and shit like that. I just want to. You gotta stop being an asshole. Okay. Hopefully I don't have to do that too many more times. So it's looking like after about an hour of heavy use, everything just goes tits up. That's a fucking lie. There ain't no way in fucking hell that I'm using that little memory. I guarantee you, I'm 110% sure that if I did this and I did HTOP, yeah, I'm using fucking 2.5 gigs of RAM right now. So I don't want to hear fucking no, like, yo, that's a fucking 74% free my fucking ass. Yeah, no. Anyway. So, we have these, we have this, we have the state machine, we have the state, we have the edges. We need to have, what is it? The, I'm like really struggling to fucking think. Yeah, I ended early yesterday. I'm starting late today. Because I don't know if I'm gonna be. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So. Any hoozles, so okay, so let's see here. Is this ready to make states, right? Because we can make a new state machine. We can set some global shit involved in it, right? Because there's no overloads, you just overload the whole, you just write a new thing. Because all we need to do is implement an update function, which we are probably going to handle a little bit differently, right? Because we want to have yo. Okay. But There we go. So we have that, we have So okay, cool. So we have those blocked out, and that is so that we can have, you know, things done properly, right? So we have the state, we have the state machine, which I think is pretty much done, because all we need is a transition to and an update. So the state machine just handles the meta stuff outside of the control, whatever is outside of control of the states themselves. The states handle the conditionals, the edges, right? And then, you know, you have that, right? So here we go. So the thing that we want to do here, right, is that we have state edges, state machine, yada. Cool. Alright, cool. Yeah. I think, yeah, update, transition, new. All those are fine. Yeah. Cool. And then what we have is, what we need is is there something that the update function is going to do regardless? Period. End of discussion. Every single state will do X, Y, and Z. Well, the main thing that it's going to do is that it's going to handle whatever the run function is, right? Whatever its run function is, or process, right? Whatever its process function is, right? Whatever its in-kernel update, because it's going to have its own block of logic, and then it's going to go through all of its edges and see if any of those need to be managed, right? See if any of those need to be handled. So the way that you do that is that, how do you iterate over? How do you iterate over an array? Because I forgot how to do that. For IV and I pairs array do print IV. Oh, for I equals 1 array do. Right. That's an easy one. Right. That's an easy one. So we know for a fact that we can do, right, we have the current update. We can do a process, right? We do enter, process, exit. So we have a function, state, update, dt, right? And then inside function, inside here, what we have is that for one, what we do is we do a self dot. We do a self process, and then we can do a D2, right? Because there's no guarantee that. Right, there is no guarantee that it's going to require the delta time, but if it does, then coolio. Right. Otherwise, we could do a for I equals 1 self dot edges, right? Right. A self edges do. We can say if self edges at index I dot condition and we could do our local edge equals self dot edges at I, right? Well, I mean, it might be better to do for I comma v in I pairs array do, right? Because then what we could do here is we could do what we could do here is okay, that's good enough. So for I comma v I pairs in self dot edges what do you mean? Oh, in pairs, okay. So well, actually, instead of that, instead of v, I could do edge, right? For edge in I pairs. And to make things even better, we can just say, you know, that. And then what we can say is, hey, for edge in I pairs, self edges, do if the edge dot condition. And then we pass in what? Self.machine or some shit, right? Because we could do self.machine, right? If we do that, then we can start populating a bunch of cool shit into the state machine itself. Right, we can have the state machine handle all of the contextual garbage that is needed for the state. Having a little bit of a bidirectional referencing can be incredibly powerful, right? And that's simply because, you know, that's just how you would expect it to work, right? So, because I think you could do can't you just like pass in self and shit? Like, I don't know. there's ways to handle things, I guess. I don't know. But yeah. So I don't know if that's like a thing that you can do, and it's whatever. I'm just using stuff to do stuff. Be nice if it wouldn't disassociate so much. That'd be great. So if edges condition, so I guess it just depends on what kind of context I want to give it, right? Oh. Because I don't necessarily need to have the condition. The condition itself. Edges condition. Right. Because the edges themselves don't necessarily need to know what the state is. So... and when I populate the edges, it's not going to know what the state is, right? So it is much better if I pass in the state as context. Right? And yeah. So I can pass in self. Because then the state can hold reference to the context. Right? You have CTX is equal to a table. Alright. So I can do that. And then what happens here is that I So, let's see. Okay. So if condition, then edge dot then self dot machine. Right? Then self.context. Is the context going to be separate? Or do you just pass everything into the machine? I think it should just be machine, right? I feel like you should just pass in the whole, you handle, instead of the context, it's a little, one moment, I guess. Well, apparently my power's gonna go out, so yeah, I guess the stream is ending. The city has to change the meter. Yep, because the internet's gonna go out. Cool. Or allegedly the meter's gonna go out. So I should probably make sure that this is saved. In that case. So if the condition is set, self.machine, if condition self.machine, then what we do is we do edge dot, oh wait, dot machine dot transition to edge dot what? Next. Something like that. All right. Because then, in that case, what we will get is, now we have the condition and next. Alright. Because you have the self.process and then for edge and iPairs edges. If the condition is met, do the transition. And like this isn't like the best of ways of doing it. It's robust. I mean, it is a very simple, and it will work. If you have very, very large systems, this will get bogged down quite a bit. Because then you have incredibly large and complicated conditionals being managed and swept through when you don't really need to. You know, things like that. There's very frequently a bunch of other ways of handling it to be a lot more just in time, you know, basically just running just in time logic flow, right? So like that is something to keep in mind. But for the sake of understanding what a state machine is and how to use them and how to work with them, this is fine, right? This is a very, very basic, and this is complete. Like this is all their state machine is, right? You have your machine, right? You have your state, right? You have your ability to create a new one, your ability to create a new state, right? And that's pretty much it.